Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to Sarge Approved. This is episode 15, and I am here with Frenzy, and our guest is Joshua Native Kirk. Hey, Frenzy. Hey, Joshua.
Hey,
Bueno.
Sarge and Joshua. What's up?
What up?
The date is November 23rd, 2016. And this episode is sponsored by National Survival Center. You can check those guys out online. You can go to www.nationalsurvivalcenter.com, or an even easier way to get there is survivedon'tsuffer.com. But they have everything you need when you're looking for outdoor gear, survival gear, camping gear. If you're looking for things that you don't even need, like swords and night vision, or if you're looking for those things you think you need when the zombies show up and all the shit hits the fan. They got tents and survival kits, survival food, free shipping on pretty much all their stuff. And yeah, you can check them out at www.nationalsurvivalcenter.com. Survive, don't suffer.
Don't suffer, don't do it.
All right, got that out of the way. So, Joshua Native Kirk, you like to be referred to as Native.
Right. My name's Native. I'm 32. I'm a Georgia resident, and I own Four Winds Survival School. Kind of just give you a quick rundown. I basically take indigenous skills. My school revolves around American Cherokee doctrine, and I'll kind of get to that in a minute. We can get to that, and just kind of walk through that if you guys want to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
And what I try to do is I take indigenous skills, bring them into 21st century technology. I'm completely outside of the box. There's a lot of super awesome schools out there, a lot of super awesome guys out there that do a lot of super cool stuff. And then there's me. And so being raised the way I was raised super extremist. That's a very interesting conversation within itself. So you guys asked away, and man, I'll do my best to answer your questions. If I don't know something, I'll be like, hey, I don't know.
That's totally cool. I like it.
So you, I mean, without having to explain, you are a bona fide survival expert.
I guess you could call me that. I tell a lot of people, I've been called a survival expert, I've been called scholar of the woods. And this weekend, I had this beautiful lady, Libby Kephart, awesome friend. She's like family. She is a great-granddaughter of Horace Kephart. We were just doing a film premiere in North Carolina. Awesome films coming out. It's called Horace Kephart, Life and Legacy. If you're not familiar with Horace Kephart, he's the fundamental reason we have the Smoky Mountain National Park. He come up with a lot of original tent designs, a lot of original sleeping bag designs, some calibers, different caliber bullets that are out there. Just a really all-around, just absolutely amazing patriarch of the woods. And she called me up due process when they were going through the editing of the video and the movie, and which was actually aired this weekend, Sunday, at Western Carolina University in North Carolina. And she's like, what do you want to be referred to as? And, to me, survival expert is just a little arrogant. I'm a woodsman. I'm a normal guy that's just had a kind of a jump start. I was born into this stuff. I didn't get into it because it was trending. It was a way of life. I remember when it wasn't cool. And, I'm a hunter-gatherer by trade, I guess you would say. That's how I survive. That's how I live. I'm a hunter-gatherer. I'm a woodsman. And, I'm a survivalist. I think we're going to see some hard times in the future. So you could call me a prepper as well. But I'm also a homesteader. I live 100% self-sufficient in my log cabin. Produce my own power, my own water. So man, I feel like you got to have a proper balance across the board to make it in today's society.
So you're a man of many titles.
I guess you would say that.
Yeah, you know, the whole survival expert title it's a broad term that's just kind of the socially accepted name given for, you know, a guy like you in society. You know, that's what we call you, a survival expert for the most part. But I understand there's many names for it, or many categories that you could fall under.
Right. So yeah, I guess you could throw me right in the mix of that, and hopefully I'd be able to back it up. You know, there's a lot of junk that's out there. I was just kind of dealing with that on my Facebook page the other day, and
there's a lot of posers, right?
There really is, man. It's kind of sad, and honestly, I guess I blame not only social media, but I mean television. And it's, you know, it's like somebody goes on their celebrity, they go on TV one time or two times or three times or whatever it is, and people get kind of caught up in the whole facade of looking cool on television, and it's easy to edit. You know, I'm kind of a show me kind of person. My father's always said, "Talk cheap unless you're on the radio," because people are going to expect you to back it up, and that's the same way in real life. It's I feel like that I've been blessed. I can back up what I teach, what I do. But at the same time, and one of the things I push, no egos in my classroom. I mean, my classroom's in the woods. No ego. I'm out there. It's a tribe-like mentality, and we learn together. I don't ever want to get to the point where I think my way is right. I believe that there's more than one way to skin a cat, you know, so to speak. But at the same time, I'll say this, at the same time, what I try to do is I give my students the fundamentals, and they can take that platform and build their own structure, what works for them, but with the proper fundamentals. And to me, that's what's most important.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's true that ego can get you killed out in a survival situation.
Really can.
You can be overconfident. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I kind of learned about that about 14 years ago. I was raised similar to, I don't want to say Amish Mennonite, but the only way to properly, I guess, let people understand that is I was raised similar to Amish Mennonite. I was brought up around individuals and was able to meet. And matter of fact, one of the guys that I was able to meet when I was a child, when I was a kid, was you guys remember Ruby Ridge, Randy Weaver. It was Ruby Ridge siege. I think it happened in around 1993. Basically, the government come in because him and his family had decided to step away from society, kind of do their own thing, live their own lifestyle.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
And yeah, and if you look back, if you look it up, and kind of see, you can look at his lifestyle, his story. He actually wound up winning his case in court after they murdered his wife. They murdered his son. They shot him, and it's kind of a long story short. But I remember being a child, and we thought we were next. I mean, and we weren't doing anything illegal. We were just trying to live. I mean, we were just trying to live. You know, it's like day to day. We had built our own cabin, raising goats, raising chickens, raising food, and we're just trying to get away from society. Not trying to be recluse, but at the same time, we just wanted to be free. You know, the old saying, "Live free or die." And we honestly, we just wanted to live free. And then we started seeing all these things go down. It seems like the government wants control of society. And I'm not an anti-government person, but at the same time, I do understand that, you know, there's an elite out there. So I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but at the same time, there's conspiracy that's there. I mean, that's legitimate. So looking across the board, you know, we were like, hey, we just want to be separated. And I remember just being a kid and being scared, like, hey, man, we might be next. And
was it just you and your parents?
yeah, well, it was me, my brother. I had a sister. I've got a sister. My parents, and we had like-minded people that we were around. And again, we wasn't really weirdos. We just were non-typical, so to speak. And people don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to deal with that. If you dress a little bit different, or if you don't go to a normal school, or if you don't have a television, you don't have a Nintendo, people just look, they're like, okay, who are these people? I mean, we had an outhouse pretty much until the age I was about 12, I believe it was. So I was raised very, very, very different. And I'm so thankful for it, because it allowed me to kind of spread my wings a little bit, think outside the box, and basically make choices in my own life to take a different route.
Were you going to school at this time, or homeschooled?
I was homeschooled. Yeah, okay. I was homeschooled. We tried to get away from, I'm not completely, everybody's opinion. I'm very opinionated. You'll find that out during this episode. But I don't claim to be everything right. But one thing that a guy said that I highly respect. I don't agree with everything that he said. Let me just be frank about this. I don't agree with everything he did. One thing he said, your family might not be like my family. My family may not be like your family. I'm not asking you to identify with who I am as an individual. I'm asking you to respect my rights as an individual to go after in my pursuit of happiness. I mean, that's an American dream, and that's every man's right. And as he was saying this, he was drinking a gallon of milk, and he had been shot, I believe, 3 times at the time. So, and he wound up dying approximately about an hour and a half later. You guys are familiar with him. If you remember Waco in Texas. Yeah. Yep. And, I'm hesitant to say a lot of this because his name was David Koresh, and I don't want nobody thinking, oh, this guy identifies, as with. No, I'm not saying that I believe anything like those guys. I'm saying that I understand what they went through as individuals, because we were set apart growing up, and people looked at us the same way. So,
all opinions are welcome here.
Absolutely.
I've got plenty.
Yeah, there's definitely no agendas on our part here. So all opinions are welcome and welcome to be heard.
Sweet. Well, I guess you could say my start came being raised outside of the box. Of course, that I think it allows you to create your own character. It's like you actually realize who you are as an individual. And I've got 3 commandments that I pretty much gave myself early in life, and one of them is basically be true to thine own self. I mean, first of all, because if you're not true to yourself, you're not going to be true to anybody else. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to have integrity. You got to have quality of life and understand quality of life. And if you miss all that, then you've missed ultimately. You've missed the big picture. And then also is know thine own self. I mean, because if you can be true to yourself, but before you can be fully true to yourself, you got to know yourself. And I believe especially in today's society and in a world of millennials that are out there, it's robbed. It's people get so caught up in the things that are trending.
Yeah. That
they can't take the time to slow down and understand who they are as an individual. And so then the 3rd commandment is completely thrown away, which is, basically follow after your own heart. And so, because if you can't know yourself and can't be true to yourself, then there's no way you can follow your own heart and lead your own life. So, those are 3 major, to me, and super important things that before a person can touch nature, touch the earth, understand who their ego is, understand who their inner self, and really just reach down and touch that, and get away and break away from what society calls friending. You know, it's like before you can even think about being grounded to the earth and being and having a balance in life, you've got to understand who you are as a person first. And I think that's really important, because psychologically speaking, you can have all the skills in the world, but if your mind is weak, then you're going to fail in a situation.
Yeah, I think I agree that, having the kind of lifestyle that you lead, I think that whenever somebody can put themselves out in, say, the middle of the wilderness in a survival situation where they truly have to test their willpower, their skills, their mental capacity to be in a situation like that, things like that are definitely a true test of what you're made of and who you are as a person, and you can really learn a lot about yourself putting yourselves in situations like that. And then on the other hand too, these millennials and the way that the teenagers and 20 somethings and younger, the way they've grown up today, they don't ever have to experience anything like that, because we've advanced to a point where everything is just so damn easy for us, and so they never really get a chance to test themselves, and they may never get a chance to test themselves until shit hits the fan, and by that point it might be too late.
Right, and the fact that they don't want to test themselves, plus they want instant gratification at the same time, it's like, what? Like, what? That's the whole millennial stereotype.
But that's all they've ever known.
Right,
their whole
I
life.
know, but it's dumb.
Well, there's no reality anymore. I mean, the truth of it is people live in they live in a bubble, and it's
I
like
agree.
In today's society, the reality, I don't think the reality is fully there, and it's kind of like you're walking through the woods and you're there, but then a briar reaches out and pricks you, and your blood kind of pops up to the surface of your skin, and it's like, oh, okay. I remember being little. My granddaddy, my great granddad, he would be out, and he was half Cherokee himself, and I remember he would prick himself, or doing something, and for blood, he'd say, "You see that blood, son?" He said, "That's Indian blood right there," and I'd be so excited. I was like, "Oh, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world," but that was the reality of it, and it's like, hey, life is here, and so many people tend to think that they can just look the other direction. It's like, no, we have to deal with what's here, and kind of getting back to the fundamental, or what I was saying earlier too. I call it Vision Quest, and that's what I teach. 14 years ago, me and my best friend and some other guys had decided that we were going to buy a sailboat, and we were going to sail to Brazil. This is kind of how I got my start.
From where?
Kind of. So, and anyway, we get like a month out, we're getting all prepped up. There was like 6 of us total, and we had all threw some money in the pot, and we're like, all right, we're buying the sailboat off of eBay at the time that we haven't seen. And we were going to sail out of California and try to sail to Brazil. And the plan was to take 3 to 4 months to do it. So about a month out, my friend calls me up and he's like, bro, he's like, look, he's like, my cousin, which is his name was Bert. He's like, Bert broke his elbow in half. And Bert, of course, was the one that knew about sailing, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to ask, does anybody know how to sail?
I had no clue about it. I'm not going to lie. Like, none of us really did except for Bert. He knew sailing. Nobody else did. So we were like, we were gung-ho. We were like, whatever. There's a chance of death, but the life, the chance of life it's phenomenal. So, we're like, making memories. And my friend Blake, he's like, look, the odds of us dying have just really just jumped up. He's like, Burke's the only one that knows how to sail. He's like, so what do you want to do? And he's like, everybody else is kind of chickening out since Burke's not going to go. And I'm like, well, if they're not going to go, that's going to make things difficult. I was like, let's ride horses across the state of Utah. He's like, all right. So he's like, I'll see you in a month.
Plan B, horses across Utah.
Well, it was definitely a bigger journey than I think he or I ever really anticipated. But So I threw my gear together and, was like, all right, things just changed. So I started trying to do a little cardio and, the whole 9 yards. And matter of fact, I think I'm the first person that's ever flew on a Frontier flight with a carry-on saddle aboard. The first airplane that I boarded, I walked on and I'm carrying my saddle on my shoulder and everybody's looking at me like crazy. And the stewardess looks at me, she was like, I don't think that's going to fit in the overhead. I was like, no, it'll fit. I was like, I've been measuring it. And so she's like, all right. She didn't want to argue with me. So like, I probably look crazy in my cowboy hat, my beard. So like, she like lifts up the overhead baggage compartment door and I commenced to stick it in and then like it kind of goes in maybe a quarter to halfway and it just stopped for a second because the saddle horn was catching.
They let you bring a saddle as carry-on?
Yeah, they did. Frontier Airlines did, man. They did. Again, I think I might have made history that day. But what's so funny is as I put it on, this is legitimate. Like this is legitimate. You could probably track down the stewardess somewhere. I'm sure she remembered it. She'll never forget that. Like as I stick it into the overhead compartment, it goes in quarter to half the way, and then it stopped. And she was like, "I don't think it's." I was like, "No, it's gonna fit." And I just shove it. I shoved it hard, and when I did, it cracked the whole top part compartment. Like, and it's just like this little crack just goes across the plastic. And I was like, and it went all the way in. And I looked at her, I said, I told you. And she started laughing. And she just shuts it. She's like, whatever. So she shuts the door. And off we go. And so, yeah, there you go. So that was a piece of history there.
And then, so you were flying from where? From California to Utah?
No, I was in Georgia. I was in Georgia,
okay.
Flying from Georgia to Salt Lake City. So that'd be Hartsfield, Atlanta Airport to Salt Lake City.
And then you and just one other buddy got on a couple horses and just rode across the state?
Yeah, they actually have a ranch out there, and we were guiding elk hunts, and I would go out there periodically. I would break horses down home here, and so I would go out there and take the horses, and Greenbrook horses. So we had ponies out there. Everybody calls them horses. I call them ponies. So we had ponies out there, and so we get there, and we're like, all right, we just kind of pointed direction because we didn't really know where we were going. We were just going.
How far were you going to go?
We were planning on riding, as far as we could until we just didn't feel like riding no more. It's kind of like Forrest Gump, man. It's like I ran and ran. It's like then he just stops.
And so then you would just whatever you could carry on the horse, and then you just slept wherever on the ground in the dirt.
Yeah, the plan was. Again, my background. My dad spent a lot of time with us teaching us skills. My aunt, who was a quarter Cherokee, she was completely like focused on teaching me skills as a child, and so I'd been hunting and fishing and doing like pretty hardcore stuff my entire existence at that point. And I'm 32. It was 14 years ago, so go figure the age. And so yeah, we get our and that was one of the things. We didn't want to take any kind of a GPS or anything like that. We wanted to do it kind of cowboy style, 17th, 18th century mentality, and just go. And so we basically threw what we could in our saddlebags. We tied down some gear on the back of the horse, and we did take one pack horse with us. His name's Shaq Nasty. And my buddy was riding Sid, and I was riding Hondo. And Shaq Nasty is like, have you ever seen him? He's a big black horse, and he's got Belgium and a quarter horse. He's a cross, and he is just bad to the bone, man. Big old fat, wide butt on him, just beautiful horse, strong. And so Shaq Nasty, we picked him for the pack horse, and so we just we threw some just some. We threw a little bit of rice in there, some rice and beans mixtures. I don't know if you ever been to a local grocery store. You can go in there and they got these little rice packs you can buy for like $1. That's what we took. We didn't want to take nothing bulky, nothing heavy, nothing big.
Yeah.
And we took 22 rifles, and I was carrying a 45 Ruger Vaquero 45 Long Colt on my hip, and my friend Blake had a Colt 45 1911 on his. Okay. And off we went, man. We're just riding into the mountains.
So did you have some sort of an estimate of how long you were going to be out there? How many days you were going to be out?
No, that was one of the things that we had kind of decided on earlier. We were just kind of ride, like there was no time clock. And one of the, just kind of leave humanistic ideology behind, leave the time behind, not get to the point where you don't care what day it is. You don't care what time it is. You don't care what the date is. And so we're like, we're definitely not stopping. Our plan was, not to stop no less than a month minimum.
A month?
And so, yeah, minimum. That was like, we're not stopping. No, like we're going to go at least a month, no matter what. Wow. Wherever we end up is where we end up.
That's badass.
So from your starting point that you started from, what's the closest like city that we may have heard of that you were?
I honestly don't have a clue. And the reason why is about 3 days into it, a hailstorm hit. And
is that common in Utah?
What's that?
Is that common in Utah?
No, it's not. Matter of fact, if you go back and you look at history,
uncommon.
If you look at history of 14 years ago, you'll find that at the end of July, coming into August, Utah had one of the worst winters that blizzards that they had ever had. Huh. Well, guess who got caught in it? Yeah, us. So it was crazy. Like, we're out there. I mean, and it don't rain out there that much. It don't rain a whole lot. So we get out and and it's a dry climate anyway. I mean, there's not a lot of humidity. It's not a wet cold like it is where you guys are at, or where Georgia. It's a lot of humidity. So you don't have that. So we get up into the mountains at about, I guess, 7,500 feet above sea level at first, and it just starts lightning. And it had been lightning for a little bit, and then it started raining, and the next thing you know, it's hailing on us, and we're like, what in the world? I mean, at this point, we're actually a day and a half in when it starts doing this. So we battled straight, pure hail, HAIL, and it was, I mean, seriously, for like 2 days almost, it was hitting this, and all of a sudden, it was like a cold spell dropped in, and we're like, what is this? Because when we went, like, we didn't pack for winter weather gear. I mean, I've got a wool vest, and I've got a down coat that I could pack easily in my saddlebag. And I had an Outback Duster jacket with me that was rolled up behind me on my saddle. Yeah. And
badass.
I'm just wearing cowboy boots, with wool socks. And so we're like, we get up in, oh my goodness, man, we're like, I guess 7,500 to 8,000 feet above sea level. And then the hail finally quits, and we had holed up under a spruce tree. And if you ever see spruce trees grow with their branches facing down. So in a situation, especially in like a rainstorm or something, you can get up under there, and it's a nice form of natural shelter, especially on a big mature tree. And you can actually break off pure, just dry branches up under at the bottom, because what happens is over time, as the spruce sheds its needles, it falls down and it basically turns into mulch, and then it builds up mulch around the spruce root ball, around the root ball, and it just builds up. So on a big mature tree, it's almost like literally getting into a little natural shelter, and everything's dry up under. So that was, we did take a tarp. We didn't take a tent. We took a little cheap tarp. He took a tarp. I took a tarp. And we took a water purification bottle, and that was pretty much the gist of it. I had my knife. I had a ferrocene rod. I had a Bic lighter. He had a lighter. Just basic necessities. We took some food, and like I said, the rice and the beans, the stuff you would buy for like $1 or $2 at the grocery store. I think we had 2 Mountain House meals between us that we had stole from his mom's cupboard. And, we like I said, we were just figuring, we'd shoot whatever, we could eat. So we get up there and hell's hitting us, rain's hitting us, and it's just sucking. I mean, it's pure. It's just like we're embracing the suck at that point. And it was like all of a sudden then the rain quits, and we're like, all right, this is good. It's getting better. And then it just drops off cold, and we're like, what in the world, And by then we're a little over 8,000 feet above sea level, and we're about a week into the ride. So in about a week, we just keep just riding on, and I guess about a week and a half, it started snowing, and as we're climbing elevation, and you got to understand something. A lot of people don't realize this. When you're out west, you don't just ride a straight line. There's so many coulees, and there's so many deadfalls, and there's so many little nooks and crannies and clefts and little valleys. Like you don't run a straight line. I mean, you're going to run a zigzag formation and just pretty much go where you know what I'm saying, the terrain allows you to go. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty much what we're doing. And our plan was, we had picked an area that he knew that there was nothing but just pure wilderness for hundreds of miles. And that was the direction that we were going. So as we're kicking it through there, we're I guess I'd say we're about a week and a half into it or so, and we get to the top of this mountain. At this point, we're about a little over 9,000 feet above sea level. It was really cool because I remember we come up on some elk, and they had I don't know if you've ever seen a horse, the way a horse they'll kind of shiver a little bit, like when like if they're scared of something, they'll shake. Yep. Well, this elk comes up beside me on my horse, literally like 6 feet away. Wow. And it's like, it's looking at us. And I'm like, this elk has never seen a human being. And I could tell this, where we were at, we were in the middle of nowhere, So this elk comes in on us, and I'm like, bro, and there were a few cow elk. And as it comes in, it's just shivering. And then I just kind of started easing closer to it, and it just was like, what is this? Like, it was just, it didn't know to be scared. It didn't run off.
Wow.
And just for a minute, I was like, I'm gonna, I got this wild, crazy hair. I was like, I want to ride an elk. So I was like, I'm just gonna jump on this elk, and my friend Blake was like, dude, you're an idiot. He just started laughing. And so the elk kind of started trotting away, and I just kind of rode up beside it, and I thought that I was going to just jump on that elk. Well, I attempted to, and needless to say, I was picking myself up off the ground in a matter of seconds. Didn't work, completely missed the elk, and almost got killed in the process.
Yeah, good thing that thing didn't stomp you to death.
Well, it was like, I don't think I was really worried about that as much as, like, man, when I hit the ground, I mean, when you jump off a horse that's going about 10 mile an hour, 12 mile an hour, that's not the most comfortable thing in the world, especially when it's cold. It's like hitting your thumb with a claw hammer right in the middle of winter. You're like, what? Yeah, but then you're like, why did I do that? Did I really think that was going to work? So, so we get back on, and we kind of go into the ride, and we were living off of piney hens, or what they call piney hens. I think you guys, it's a lot similar to a grouse or a pheasant, but they're wild.
Gotcha. That's good meat.
It's delicious. It really grouse. Is. It's really delicious.
Have you ever had grouse, Frenzy?
I have. I've had pheasant too.
Oh, it's so good. I remember growing up, whenever we'd have grouse, I always got the piece with the BBs in it.
Oh, really? Funny.
The pellets, yeah.
Tomorrow for Thanksgiving, I'm having Cornish game hens instead of turkey.
I don't think I've ever had those before.
They're good.
That's really good, especially when you cook it in the ground. It's you can put herbs in it, put some onions in it, and slow cook it. Dig you a hole, put you some coal in it, cover it up, and I'm telling you, let it slow cook. It will fall off the bone. It's absolutely delicious. I love corn shins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what our Thanksgiving meal is going to be tomorrow. It should be good. So what other? So are you Are you celebrating Thanksgiving tomorrow, or doing anything? Did you?
I am. I'm actually going to be getting up early in the morning. I'm going to go on a hunt, and then I'm going to get some coffee. I'm going to get some breakfast, and then I'm going to chill out for a little bit and start packing, and then for my trip.
Are you just
and then I'll probably eat some turkey and then go hunting again.
Or are you hunting for breakfast, or what are you hunting for in particular?
No, I'm just going to do a deer hunt first thing in the morning. Try to get out there, try to just enjoy the day. It's just it's going to be chilly. It'll probably be about 30 to 35 degrees in the morning.
Really?
And
cold down there, huh?
Yeah, and if I get something, like I've gotten a few deer this year already, so I've got some really good deer sausage made up. So that pot's already filled. So
where are you at in Georgia? Where are you from?
I am right smack dab in the middle of Athens and Macon, if that makes any sense.
Macon, okay. I was stationed in Georgia for a while, Fort Gordon, Georgia.
All right, man. Thank you for your service. I know exactly where Fort Gordon is.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I like Georgia a lot. I had a good time when I was stationed there.
It's different. I like it. I definitely. It's. I'm a Georgia boy. I guess my biggest thing I hate is the humidity. I hate humidity.
Yeah,
once you spend a lot of time out west. Yeah. So, but no, kind of like jump right to it. I'm trying to make a long story short because, man, I'm writing a book. Literally, I've got a book that's going on about this, about my ride.
Tell us all about it.
I kept a journal, What's that?
Tell us all about it.
Well, I kept a journal the whole time I was out, and we had so many things happen. We got charged by bears. A bear, excuse me.
Is this on this Utah ride?
Yeah. Well, we actually, it was pretty amazing because my friend Blake's horse, it was green broke. And green broke means, in other words, like it's broke, but it's not broke to ride properly. I mean, like it's not rain. It doesn't rain very well, and every now and then it'll crow hop or maybe buck a little bit. So,
what does that mean?
We kind of get about a week and a half into the ride.
For our listeners who don't
What's that?
For our listeners who don't understand, what does that mean?
What does crow hop?
What's that? Crow hop is when you're sitting on the horse and he decides to throw his head down and kind of throw his butt up just about 6 inches.
Try and buck.
It's not quite a full buck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like an irritable buck. It's not like, hey, I'm about to sling you off, but it's like, hey, I'm thinking about it.
Just enough to check you a little and be like, hey, yeah, I got you, fucker. I can buck you off anytime I want. I can buck you off me.
Exactly.
What was the other one
it's just letting you know it's got attitude.
I gotta take a piss. Hold on.
What was the other one that you said besides that one?
So, he would just pretty much, he was crow hopping, and then he would actually, they would buck a little bit. Like, he would buck every now and then.
Okay.
And he wouldn't rein very well. He wouldn't rein. Like, if the reins, he wouldn't. In other words, he wouldn't steer. There you go. He wouldn't steer very well.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So, we're riding on this logging road. One of the quick stories that comes to mind. We're riding on the logging road, and then, matter of fact, it was my first badger up close that I'd ever seen. And all of a sudden, a badger comes up out of the hole, and badgers are mean as all get out, by the way. Like, everything you ever heard about a badger being aggressive, believe it. It's legitimate.
Are they kind of like Wolverines a little bit? Or not so much?
Yeah, they're a lot like a Wolverine.
They kind of might be, related somehow. Maybe.
Yeah, you know what? To me, they're just alike because of the way they act.
Right.
Because, you get near their area and they're coming out. Like, they're feisty. They are not scared of anything.
They're spicy.
So, they're feisty. I'm telling you. They are feisty.
Spicy.
Yeah. They got short man syndrome without a doubt. There's no,
They drive big trucks with big tires.
So, but this badger comes out at my friend's horse, and needless to say, we're on the edge of this logging road. So, and it's like about 600 foot plus drop off on the side, and Sid, his horse, blows up. When I mean blows up, in other words, he starts bucking like crazy.
Oh, you don't want to fuck with a badger.
No, you definitely don't. And that badger wasn't playing. That badger actually went after the horse, and the horse Sid wasn't having it. That was the horse's name, Sid.
Those things aren't scared of anything.
No, they're not. No, they're not at all. Like he was letting us know, hey, you're in my area, get out. So Sid starts bucking everywhere and almost throws Blake over the side of this huge drop off. It was at least 600 or 800 foot drop. I mean, it was huge drop off. I mean, I didn't pull a tape on it or nothing, but when you look down, you're like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's the point of no return. So I started laughing. I mean, it was really funny. And finally, my friend Blake gets control of his horse, and he's hollering at me like, "Oh, you think it's laugh it up?" He's like, "Wait till something happens with you." And so we get down the road, and it was like, I mean, it happened. It like fate struck back. We're sitting on this logging road about a half a mile down from where the badger had come out.
So how much time had passed? Maybe like a half hour?
I was probably we were probably 30 minutes ahead. We were taking our time at this point. We were just kind of moseying along. And so I get down, and me and him just kind of stops, and we're just talking, just kind of resting, took our feet out of the stirrups, our boots out of stirrups for a minute, and we're just chilling. And I look down, and a coolie. Do you guys know what a coolie is?
No, it sounds familiar. I swear I've heard of it.
Okay. I need to guess. Is it like a I want to say it's either like a cat-like animal or raccoonish like animal?
Way off.
It's not an animal at all.
A coulee is an area where a mountain comes down, and it just got this huge gaping gap.
So it's not even an animal.
No.
Great. Okay, so what is it again? An area where there's just a huge gap coming out of a mountain?
It's like if you got you'll have they call them fingers coming off of mountains.
Yep.
And you'll have a finger coming off, and then another finger, and then there'll be like kind of a little small valley, but it's not big enough to be a valley, and they call them coulees. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you the redneck version. One of my hunters that I was guiding on an elk hunt about 6 years ago looks at me, and I told him, I was like, "There's some elk in that coulee over there," and he looked at me. He said, "Coulee?" He's like, "What's a coulee?" And I pointed to him, and he looked at me, and this guy's like straight. It's awesome. He's so redneck. And he looks at me, and he said, "Oh." He said, "You guys call him a coolie." He said, hold on, I'm going to imitate him real quick. He was like, "You guys call them coolies." He said, "Down where I'm home, we call them hollers."
Oh, yeah, I've heard of a holler, down in the holler. Yeah, nice.
So,
like that song, what's that old song, Deeper Than the Holler?
Yeah, there you go,
yeah.
Randy Travis.
Longer Than the Song of a Whippoorwill. Yeah. Remember that one?
Song.
Oh, I'll play it.
Okay.
I'll play it. Yeah, you know what song I'm talking about, right, Native?
Yeah, it's Randy Travis.
Randy Travis, that's who it is. Yep, that's what I thought. Deeper than the holler.
Oh my gosh, you guys are nerds.
It's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. So we're sitting there so we're looking down in this coulee, and there's a creek. There's a creek down the bottom. You can see that there's a creek right there in the bottom, and it's just a spring that's just coming out from. I call it a creek. It's really a spring just coming out the side of the mountain, right?
We called it a crick.
I call them a crick or a creek. That's just redneck terminology, man.
Yeah, crick. Go ahead, sir.
Minnehaha Creek.
I just like saying crick.
I've called them cricks my whole life, man. Like I said, that's a little bit of a little country terminology
Me
there,
too.
but a little ebonics. There you go, a little redneck ebonics for you. Oh my goodness! So I'm sitting there looking down the bottom, and I see what I thought was a calf, a cow calf, like an actually like beef cow calf, right?
Yeah.
Like a beef or a dairy?
And I was a beef, like a beef cow, like a beef calf.
Right.
You know, like I thought it was a baby,
Angus,
beef
Angus
cow.
or a dairy cow?
Don't they all have beef though?
No, there's
Yeah,
dairy cows,
they're
and
all
there's
beef.
Angus.
You really don't find no dairy cows out in Utah. They're mostly
I
beef.
suppose they're grazing like in the kind of just like eating as they go, or no?
Yeah, well, out there they do free range or free grazing, so like there's no fences in a lot of places, so they just let their cows roam and then they herd them up, just kind of like the Old West movies.
Yeah, except
like it's
now
still
it's like
that's what they do.
$9.89 a pound
I should have been a cowboy.
for ground beef from those cows.
Should have been a cowboy.
Yeah, that would have been it would have been a good one.
Okay, so what were you saying now? We got so off
All right.
track.
So I looked down.
A
You're
calf.
gonna love this. So I looked down and I was like, Blake, there's a calf down there. What is that calf doing down there?
What's that in the weeds?
And I was like,
It's a baby. Sorry, inside joke. There's a calf.
I was like, it's stuck. I thought it was stuck. Honestly, I was like, dude, there's a calf stuck down there.
What?
So he rides over there on this horse, right? Now you got to understand. I want you to picture this. I want the audience, guys, audience, if you're listening, I want you to picture this. We're on a logging road, so up above us is just a huge, vast landscape of aspen quakey trees. Aspen quakeys do not grow very high at that high elevation. They stay very short. Like when I say short, 10 to 15 feet. So we're on the side of a mountain, literally on an old logging road cut trail, and we're looking down at this calf. Well, about that time, me and Blake are sitting beside each other on the horses, and we're looking down. And the cat, what I thought was a calf, turned and looked up at us, and it is a baby cub bear, and it bawls like
shit!
Oh my god!
No.
Yeah. Well, needless to say, Blake looks at me, and I look at him. We're like, "Oh my gosh, this is not good."
Yeah.
Bail.
Yeah, exactly. Well, about that time, he's like just crying out for dear life, for his mother. Like, and we're just sitting there. Like, I mean, by this time, he's done it like 3 or 4 times. And we look up, and it's just like I was there yesterday. I get goosebumps thinking about it. You can see the top part of those aspen quakeys moving.
Shut up.
As a mama bear is hauling tail down the mountain.
So is
What
this
kind of bear was
this
it?
a grizzly or what?
Black bear?
No,
or
it's
brown
just
bear?
a black bear.
Black
It was a
bear.
black bear.
Oh, they'll still eat you if they want to eat
Yeah,
you.
they've eaten people before.
She was probably 300 to 350 pounds, give or
Ugh.
take.
Yeah,
And-
that's creepy.
Do what now?
And she's just
That's
coming.
creepy.
And she's just coming at you.
Well, yeah, that's
She's
what
coming
they're most offensive about is their bibbies.
Right. And she's coming straight. I'm talking about like a snowball coming flying down through
Like,
there.
She had her missile locked on you.
She was
Gunning
locked
for ya.
in, and I'm telling you, she wasn't gonna vary. Like, she was like, I'm coming down there to my rescue. I'm gonna take care of my baby. And all this, by the time like we're like in the process of turning our horses and spurring them to get out of there,
Yeah.
she comes out of the aspen quakeys and comes straight at the horses. And about that time, Sid had already had enough with that badger, so he was just freaking out. He's like running and bucking, and Blake's cussing and holding on, and my horse is starting to buck and running. And man, needless to say, we were lucky that they didn't probably kill us or kill themselves, and we were able to, of course, get away. unscathed. But
you took off. You just ran off, and she didn't pursue.
She ran after us probably 50 or 60 yards, and then she realized that the threat was gone, and she went back to life.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So, did both of your horses survive at the end of the trip? Like, you didn't have to pull a Leo DiCaprio and like cut your horse carcass open and sleep in it for a night or anything like that?
They did.
Okay. Good.
They did. Yes. Matter of fact, they are all still living to this day. They are all still living to this day. And needless to say, that was not I hadn't even got to the good stuff yet. Like there's so much kind of. I'll wrap it up with this as far as that story goes. Just to make it quick, we finally we after I guess we were in the ride a couple weeks or better. I kind of lost track of time, but it was into a little over a couple weeks. And as we're riding, we top a mountain. I mean, we're at the top of this mountain, and a blizzard really just settled in on us and pinned us down for about 6 hours, I think it was.
And what did you do? Did you huddle up? Did you make a little shelter? What did you do?
No. When you got 60-mile-an-hour winds like that, and you got snow drifts 10, 15 foot deep in certain areas, there's not a lot you can really do, but just kind of basically kind of huddle up for a minute.
Did you at least huddle up under the tarp?
No. I mean, the tarp, we couldn't get a tarp up, to save our life. I mean, at that point in time, we pulled the horses all together, and we got right in between the horses, and we were literally having to holler at the top of our lungs because we had about 60-mile-an-hour winds. At this point, we're at 9,500 feet above sea level. So we're way up there. And, we're really high up on the mountain, and in the storm. I mean, there's clouds around us. Literally, there's clouds around the mountain on top. So the visibility was terrible. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a whiteout. I'm sure you guys have in Minnesota.
Oh yeah,
we have them a couple times a year in the winter.
Okay, well, we were in a whiteout, that legitimate whiteout with about 60-mile-an-hour winds, and we were freezing to death. And it got to the point where, I started, my fingers started turning black. The tips of my fingers I was coughing up blood from where my lungs were so cold and drying out. Just bad. I'm talking about to the point to where after being stuck there for about 6 hours, hoping the storm was going to blow over, the storm wasn't blowing over. And Blake's like, dude, he's like, if we don't get out of here in another hour and a half, 2 hours, we're going to be dead. So he's like, we're going to have to get out of here. So we get up. We were sitting down. We get up, and we started trying to drag the horses along, because at this point we're not riding. We're just dragging them, just trying to fight the wind. And just for a second, I was looking, and the clouds moved just for an instant where I could see some green, like way down. And I hollered at him, and I was like, there's a way down right there. And it was like just for an instant, those clouds moved, and I could just see down below the storm, and I could see green. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, that's our spot right there. So we go over there, and of course it's about a 60-degree drop off, I guess you would say. And we're like, and he looks at me, he's like, there's no way. He's like, we're dead if we go down that. And he's like, and then he's like, we're dead if we stay up here. He's like, dude, we're dead, and it kind of like the realization hit us, like, okay, this is it, And I remember I was thinking, I was like, man, I wish I could turn my cell phone on, and try to call somebody and just let them know, hey, let my parents know, be like, look, this is it. And it was crazy. It was extreme to the max. Like the emotions are really, it's hard to put emotions into words. It was impossible to do at the time.
Did you ever consider a time? Did you ever consider leaving? Was there a time where you guys thought about leaving the horses behind? You know
what? That we never thought one bit about that.
Really, didn't it make it a lot more difficult trying to tow the horses along with you?
It did, but man, after you spent like that much time with an animal and you bond, and it's like,
No, I get
there's
that.
a trust. There's a trust there. You don't leave them behind. They don't leave you behind.
But I mean, at what point do you? I mean, if those clouds didn't open up and you didn't see a way down, you'd already been up there for 6 hours. We
would have froze to death.
So what? I mean, was there? You would have just stood there, or just sat there until it was over, until you're dead.
There was no visibility, and due to no visibility, sometimes the best thing to do is just to try to hunker down. And it was like you don't want to walk blindly into the storm, so to speak. So the best thing to do is just try to hunker down and stay as warm as possible and hope the storm's going to pass over. Well, after 6 hours, the realization hit the storm's not passing over. And then when I seen that opening, we drug the horses over to the edge, and I told him, and he was in agreement with me 100%. And we made the conscious decision that we were going to chance it, and we were going off over the edge on the horses, and we wasn't going to walk off the edge. We were going to ride off the edge. And so I get on my horse Hondo, and I start spurring Hondo, and finally he just kind of goes over the edge. And when he did, horses will, if they're on a really bad steep incline, they'll just sit their butt down and like basically lock their front leg straight. And as I went over, I was do what now?
And just slide.
Right. And I was like, I figured we'd have a lot better chance of doing that than just trying to jump off. So when we go over, as we go over the edge, my horse Hondo, I'm holding the pack horse lead rope in my left arm. When I go over, it dislocates my shoulder, literally, because he paused for a second. Like he was like, "Okay, I'm not going over that."
Wow.
And then my friend Blake's horse hit him, and they went over. And then Blake was right behind him. So we're sliding and just sliding and sliding for I don't know how long. And then finally, I knew my horse was about to roll. And so about that time, I was like, I'm going to roll off the backwards. So I flipped backwards off my horse to keep from getting trampled, because that's what you do if you're riding a bronc or if you're riding a bull. You always try to roll backwards and flip off the backside so you don't get trampled. Well, I roll backwards. Do what now?
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's kind of survival mode. So I roll off the back, and as I do, Hondo rolls end over end. I'm rolling end over end, and I see Blake rolling. And so, like, only horses are not rolling is the pack horse, Shaq Nasty, and he's just sliding, And finally, we come to a stop, and I don't know how far we went. I couldn't tell you. But it was like a moment where you just start touching your chest, touching yourself, and you're all over, and you're like, all right, am I alive? Am I dead? Like, is there anything broke? Is there anything sticking out of me? Is there anything sticking in me? And it's like, you start and then I realized, oh my goodness, I'm alive and there's nothing broke. I think I broke my finger, but I was so numb at the time. I'm pretty sure I broke my finger because I reset it, but I wasn't sure if it was broke or if it was actually just popped out of place.
Yeah, you got
and
off
my
easy.
Shoulder. Do what?
You got off easy on that little trip.
Oh man, tell me about it. So, shoulder had somehow, in due process, had been managed to be knocked back into socket, and I still have rotator problems on my left rotator cuff to this day because of that. And so we get up Blake, and I was like, Blake, are you all right? And he started hollering and cussing. He's like, yeah, I'm all right. He's like, are the horses all right? He's like, we're dead if they're dead, because we were so far. We're like in the middle of nowhere, and the horses miraculously were so shook up. They were cut up. They were cut up, but they were completely healthy and fine. So we managed to get the horses down, and we're shaking at this point. I mean, like adrenaline's pumping. legs are just, wobbly. I mean, it's just like, it was a moment. It was surreal. And we get up and we hold up for like it was 3.5 days. We hobbled the horses. That's when you tie basically the front legs together so they can't just run off. We hobbled the horses, built 2 huge fires, and we didn't really hardly talk to each other but at nighttime for about 3 to 3.5 days, and just literally just warmed up and just tried to recoup ourselves and ate. We were just eating some of the food that we had left over, which was just a little bit of rice. I went out and shot some piney hens. I found a piney hen. We shared that. Well, I got one. I said hens. I only shot one at that particular campsite. So we split that up between the two of us. We decided to eat the 2 Mountain House meals that we had. So we wound up mixing it up. We put after we cooked the piney hen over the fire, we put that in there. And this is where I fell in love with using a ferrocerium rod instead of a big lighter, because earlier when we were on top of the mountain, I tried to use a big lighter, but a big lighter does not work in wet conditions when it's windy.
Yeah.
So that's, to this day, I don't recommend lighters whatsoever. So,
but it's not a bad idea to have a lighter with you.
No, not in a night. Yeah, absolutely. And if you're gonna have a lighter, take a big. Big lighters are tough, they're strong, but I would prefer a ferrocerium rod any day than I would a lighter.
Yeah, they're both lightweight. You might as well have both of them on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. One is what was the old saying? 2 is 1, 1 is none. So, the more the merrier.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying.
So,
or you could just carry some flint and some steel, too. Piece of flint.
Yeah, and see, I had all the above. I think I had like 4 or 5. Matter of fact, in my kit, I'm always carrying magnification or a 5-power magnifying glass. To me, magnification fire is hands down one of the best fires you can do.
Really?
And the reason why is because you don't use any resources. You're using the sun's resource, but the problem is it's got to be sunny to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So that can be a pain sometimes.
But when I've never tried the method. I plan on it, but it's pretty effective, huh? When you have a sunny day.
It's easy. I can have a fire going. I can get ignition. If I can get a quick tinder bundle thrown together, man, I can probably have a fire going in a less than a minute and a half to 3 minutes with magnification.
Nice.
On a sunny day. And like I said, you're not scraping, you're not utilizing, you're not using up your resources. Yeah. As far as like scraping a ferro rod, or if you had a lighter, using that fluid that's in it. So it's really it's a self-sustained and a very resourceful way to start a fire. So we did that, but that's just kind of sum it up. And I call that my vision quest, because I knew when I got off that trip, I knew I wanted to teach after that. That was my goal. And so when I started my school, one of my main fundamentals is transitional or metaphoric shape shifting. And the whole ideology behind that is, my quick spill is basically society as a whole for the last, we'll say, 200 years. Prior to the last 200 years, for thousands of years, society has, the human race has basically hunted, fought, and foraged for their food. And only in the last 200 years, we pretty much sold our soul for supply and demand in a house on Main Street. So really, our survival skills have really been watered down to the extent that it's hard to adapt and overcome a lot of situations for a lot of individuals. So what I teach in my school is to metaphoric shapeshift in your mind. So if you're in a wilderness area, you're going to want to pick a wilderness animal such as a wolf, a bear, a squirrel, whatever it is, a dry land animal, that because and mimic that mentality to try to transition into that animal. So you're going to to get away from the humanistic ideology. So basically, and the reason why is in humanistic ideology, when you think of a cutting tool, most people think of a bone handle or a wooden handle on a metal blade, where in reality, when in indigenous skills, a cutting tool would be a piece of shard off quartz. It could be shard off flint, chert, or even fat wood lighter made into a knife. I've made knives out of that. So any kind of a cutting tool that's available and that's usable. So when you get to that point, and you can transition into that animal, it's going to cause you to slow down, because in the wild, animals don't move very fast, and humans got a bad habit of getting out in the woods and they make quick, rash moves, and you can't do that because that is a sign of danger in the woods. So if you're having to hunt for your food and sustain and secure a meat resource, you got to slow down, look around you, and I call that being earth walking or being grounded to the earth. In other words, slowing down, looking around you, paying attention to what's going on. You're not on a time clock anymore, and transitioning your mind into that animal and hunting, for your survival.
Yeah, just taking it all in, accepting your environment.
Well, trying to connect with the animal too, maybe a little bit.
Well, what it does is when you graduate my class, I give a Native American spirit animal name to that student. I watch their character. I watch what they do. So during the class, like I just did one of my last classes, this guy, he was an ex-Marine. He was kind of set back in his ways, but he was smart. The guy was a leader. And so I called him Grey Wolf, because of what, what he was doing, what I was seeing him, why I watched his skills, watched his mentality, watched his attitude. And so I'll give them a name, and so that's one of the, and he'll take that name with him for the rest of his life. If he ever gets in a situation, he'll remember that name and he'll remember that mentality, and he'll go back to that. Yeah. So that's what I do. That's what I teach upon, and that's what I base the fundamentals with.
So how long are your classes? What do they entail?
My classes can go anywhere from 5 hours to 2 days. And I've got a class coming up, one of my classes in December, the third week of December. I'm doing a hunter-gatherer / canoe excursion. And the beautiful thing about this class is most schools are scared to really do this. So because there's a lot of there's not a liability to me. It's just I believe in, if you take someone in the woods, you gotta and you hike in 3 miles, and your truck's still there, then you really are not putting yourself in a realistic survival situation. So what I like to do, I like to get my students away from everything. We get dropped off, and on this class, we're actually going to be canoeing several miles down the river. We're going to be, and it's going to be in December, so you're actually placing them in a legitimate hypothermic situation. So they actually have to think real about everything they're doing, because if you flip, you're going to be in a situation, and next thing you know, you're going to have to warm up, and the helicopter is going to have to come get you.
Yeah.
So, but then not only that, but when we get to land, and I'm going to go over basic fire, water, and shelter, and then we're going to deal with the food. But the beautiful thing is about this class is, traditionally, this time I'm going to allow the students are going to bring shotgun, or they can bring a muzzleloader, or they can bring a bow, whichever. So they're actually going to have to go out, try to secure a meat resource, whether it be a small game or a deer, bring that back in. We're going to go over utilizing the resources of that animal, and I will score in basically each individual on basically their shelter, on the food they secure, and then we're going to deal with meat preservation. We can deal with utilizing the resources that are on that animal, as far as taking the fat, rendering the fat, making waterproofing from it, making candles from it, using the bones for different tools. And we're going to try to cram all of this into a 2-day, 1-night class. And so it really puts them into an element of survival, so where they actually have to rely on each other, because not everybody's going to go out and harvest an animal. So it's what you bring to the table. It's a tribe-like mentality. It's what you bring to the table, and everybody shares and shares alike. So it's a beautiful thing.
That sounds cool. How many people have signed up, or how many people are doing it?
I've got right now. I know I've got 6 or 8. It'll probably wind up being 15 or 20 total. I guess the biggest issue you come at, most people, I have several canoes that I can offer. And also one of the guys that's going to possibly be at this, I haven't got confirmation. I haven't made an event yet on Facebook. However, I got a bunch of people calling me already wanting to sign up. I've got a lot more than 6 or 8 that's hit me up, but realistically speaking, I always have people that wind up backing out. So out of the ones that are there right now, I can actually rely on. Mm-hmm. I have 6 people right now that are in it fully. But I'm getting hit, people are hitting me up every day about the class that is coming up. But the beauty of it is Dale Stewart, who is an old National Geographic explorer. Like Dale he was on Big Cat Diaries. I don't know if you ever heard that on National Geographic. Mm-hmm. Yep. But Dale, do what now?
Oh, I was just saying that I've heard of that.
I'm sorry.
Show, Big Cat Diaries.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dale was one of the first guys to narrate that, and Dale was also the first guy to actually kayak from the United States to Russia. He was the first white guy to go out and kayak the Nile River, kayak the Amazon River, live with the
that's awesome.
One of the Indian tribes. Yeah, so Dale was going to be there kind of helping out with the canoeing, hopefully. I haven't got a confirmation on him just yet. And then
so how can people find this class?
He's talking
if people want to sign up for it, how can they find it?
They can go on my Facebook page at Joshua Native Kirk, or they can go to my other page, which is the Native Pathfinder, or you can go to 4 Winds. That's the number 4 Winds Survival School on Facebook. And I also have a website that is www.4windsurvivalschool.com. Also, if you go on your cell phone, I have a free app that is called the THE Native Pathfinder. You can go to that. That's a free app. Everything. It'll link you up with my videos. It'll link you up with my YouTube, my website, and it's just a really cool app to just kind of link you in with everything. But I should have an event going up this week. I haven't put the event up yet, but an event will be going up on my pages this week where people can go on and they can register through there and go from there. And the crazy thing about this class is it's more of a fun class. I'm looking forward to it. So it's only $75 per person. And then if you want to rent a canoe, it's $25 per seat on the canoe. I can fit 2 to 3 people per canoe. And then if you choose that you want a bus to pick you up, which I would recommend that, or you're going to be stuck out there, I have a Olton Mulgy Outfitters worked with me on these trips, and the bus only picks up. And it's a $25 fee. So it's a total, you're talking $150 for this class for 2 days. I mean, it's an awesome, awesome class, especially for $150.
And you're really getting in depth with it, especially when it sounds awesome. When preparing the small game, you're teaching them about utilizing like every aspect of the kill, not just for sustenance for food. You're using every single thing that you possibly can from that animal.
Absolutely. And man, people don't understand, people, they go out and we're so dumbed down, so to speak. Just to be frank about it, it's like we think, oh yeah, we're just going to go out in a survival situation. We're going to survive. Well, okay. Well, if that's what you're planning on doing, how do you plan on preserving your meat once you get your meat? Yeah. How do you plan? How do you plan on hunting? How do you plan on fishing? What are you going to do if there's not food to forage? What are you going to forage on? What kind of shelter are you going to build? Are you, what is your plan? And so when you start asking all these questions, I think a lot of people really get caught up in the fantasy of survival, and they really don't have an understanding of the reality of survival. And what I do is I bring that to the students hands on. And again, there's no egos in my classes. Everybody gets along good. I learn, they learn. It's just a good time. But I don't allow egos. And then I teach primitive skills. I teach indigenous skills. I teach trapping. You can pretty much come to my school and learn anything to do with all the way into homesteading. I can teach you how to go and set up solar systems, set up water purification systems for creeks, set up ram pumps.
Awesome.
All of the above. I mean, I live 100% self-sufficient. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sitting there, my lights are being run by solar right now. So,
That's awesome.
So, okay. So you're doing these classes. How are you recording? Are you doing any video during these classes and posting that?
It's so hands-on and nonstop. I really seriously, every now and then I'll bring along somebody to take pictures and stuff. But we're not out there. Once we're there, we're really not there for show. We're there to get it, learn. And that's our focus. And it's like, I do shoot videos outside of my classes, of course. But when we're there, man, we're working nonstop so hard that it's really difficult to try to set up.
Yeah, I get it. It's got to be just nonstop. I mean, you don't have time to sit and play with cameras and get angles and things like that. But it would be cool to see some video of it.
Well, you're really. It's funny you said that because I just told somebody yesterday. I said I need to start bringing together a cameraman or woman, out there taking care, doing that and focusing on that, and just to give people a little bit of an idea of what we're doing, what I'm teaching, because everybody that comes to my class, man, they love it. They absolutely love it. I mean, they
even
leave.
If it's just used as a teaser, as like a trailer to kind of demonstrate a little bit what somebody can expect when they go to one of your classes.
Well, it'll just be a promoting tool, to promote it, to show people what it's about. Not to promote it so much, but to share what you're doing, so that people
can get an idea.
If they're interested, then that would maybe would push them a little bit to actually do it.
Right. You're 100% right, and that's something. Again, we've just revamped everything because everything is getting so wild. I don't even like saying this because people get caught up in it, but I do. I work with several television networks doing private consulting. I work in front of the camera, behind the camera, with a lot of major television networks. I won't say them over the show, but I work with a lot of them. And it's like what's reality and what's not. And I'm gonna tell you, there's only like 2 shows that are on the network right now that are actually legitimate. Yeah. I've actually had someone come from one of the shows, and I'm not going to refrain to say it. They were actually come, and they're now they're one of my part-time instructors. And the first show, it was just a little while, about a year after they'd done the show, when they come to my class I was wanting to be an instructor. Like, they were shocked, and they told me, they were like, "I'm going to have to start over. This is nothing like I've never seen these kind of teachings before. Like, this is just, it's like a whole nother ball game." Really? And
let me guess. One of those shows that's realistic is Survivor Man, right? That's got to be one of the realistic ones, right? Or am I completely off? What do you think? Is that one of the fake ones?
I don't want to say too much. I don't want because I love Les Stroud. Like, he's legitimate. Like, some of the stuff he does is legitimate. Not everything. I mean, I don't want to get like,
maybe
some of the stuff's legitimate. I don't want to be the guy talking about somebody else. You know what I'm saying? But
I'll say it then. I don't mind. Bear Grylls is a fraud.
Man, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. Bear Grylls is not a fraud.
Well,
it's
no,
what
I don't.
The network has to do.
I don't mean his survival knowledge and experience. I believe he's a knowledgeable, survivalist, that he knows what he's talking about. But his show is fake.
Right, and that's not his fault. That's the network's, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand. I've been on both sides of the coin before. So, like, when you're there, I mean, when you're working, don't get me wrong, it's hard work. I mean, you're out there, but when you're offset, I mean, we got gourmet coffee and everything else. I mean, it's there's so much stuff that's dramatized too.
Yeah.
there's so much that's dramatized, man. I don't want to ruin it for nobody, but I've never owned, I've never lived in a house with central heating and air. I've never had cable television or anything like that. And I wouldn't because of what I see when I work with this stuff. It's like, it's just like really, one of the shows that is legitimate, I will say this, one of the shows that is completely legitimate, and I was accepted to be a talent, and I got let's just be frank about this, I got a better money offer from a different show to go work. But one of the shows is Alone. Alone is legitimate, and I've got a lot of friends that are on Alone, and they've done well with it.
That's the one that's up in Canada, right?
Well, it was on Vancouver Island, and this year, the third season is actually in Patagonia.
Oh, okay. So they those contestants are legitimately just put somewhere and they have to survive as long as
it's
they
self-shot.
Can. Self-shot.
It is. It's self-shot. Basically, the whole idea behind it is basically you shoot, and basically you take out the SD card and you go drop it off, and then you go back to your spot. The crew comes in at some point. They pick up the SD card. They go back and they put all the footage together. It's fully self-shot. And not all the contestants are legitimate. We'll say it like that. And you can see because the ones that fail. But I've got several close personal friends that were on the show. And they're, like these people are real. Like they're real deal. That show is legitimate. Like it's definitely. It's the only fully non-scripted show that's on any network at this moment.
And they could possibly have to be out there for up to a year, right?
No, I mean they give them an option. I mean nobody's going to last a year.
Well, exactly. But I mean that's what they say.
Right. Like. But most of the time they're in there and out of there in about 60 days or less for the most part.
Do you know what the longest somebody's lasted out there on that show?
I think it was like 58 or 59 days, possibly something like that, maybe a little bit longer.
Wow, that's a long time, especially for someone who's never actually done something like that before.
Yeah, I remember. Right. Wasn't there a season where they were in Alaska? Or was
no, the last ones they have been on Vancouver Island in Canada.
Yes, and that's the one that I saw because the one guy got scared by the bear noises and he left after like day 2 or day 3.
Right.
He was like a police officer, maybe.
If you notice too, just to give you a little bit of a heads up, watch the previews. Like that guy was talking a lot of, he was being really open mouthed about he was just gonna go knock it out, do it easy, and like
typical, pretty typical.
Which now don't get me wrong, I've had 2 legitimate full out bear charges in my life. I've had over 50 encounters, and a lot of people, because bears can't see very well. They can't see very well, so they run on their senses. Their smells and their hearing, and so what they'll do a lot of times, they'll kind of jog in to get a better look at you. And a lot of people, there's a lot of charges that are really they're false charges. They're not real charges at all. Mm-hmm. If you ever really charged by a bear, you don't have to guess about it. It's legitimate, and it sucks.
You'll know. Well, I feel like they can't see very good because they have these huge heads and these like tiny little eyes. Why is that? It's so weird. Like polar bears, especially grizzly bears too.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I guess like their other senses are.
They're so big and dangerous. They don't need to see what they're jacking up.
I guess
they don't care.
Yeah, jack you. That's pretty cool, though. Not that you've. How about mountain lions? Have you ever encountered any of those?
I have. I actually. I witnessed one stalk one of my hunters one time, and he actually saw it in time though.
Spooked him off.
He actually, well, he just turned around and kind of. But I've seen them in the wild. I've definitely seen them. I haven't seen them a lot. Mountain lions are pretty. They're pretty chill. They do what they want. I read a story about a mountain lion one time. I thought this was awesome, so I'll relay it to you. I say I read it. I didn't read it. My buddy was telling me about it. He said he was out hunting on his ranch, And he was walking along in the middle of nowhere. And he said, you just that feeling you get with something stalking you. He's like, I felt like that. And I was just walking around. And he's about that time I turned around, and I see about the time I turn around, I see a mountain lion jump out. And so he throws up his rifle and pulls the trigger. And he said the mountain lion was so fast that it went in its head, and he said that he had a duck to miss the bullet because it come out the mountain lion's rear end, just to give an idea how fast they are. Of course, the story, the story is malarkey, but it's just to let you know they're really, really fast.
Yeah. Oh shit!
That's pretty funny.
Okay. So, did you mention that you're writing a book?
I am. I've actually got a couple books going right now. One of them is kind of my life story, where I come from, who I am, how I got into what I do, and I'm also working on everybody else's. So I figured I would work on my own survival guide as well. So
yeah. Well, so do you have one that's currently out right now?
I don't. I do not. I do not at the moment. I would love to be able to tell you yes, but I do not yet.
You'll have to keep us updated on that.
Yeah, you'll just have to let us know when you do.
As soon as you do, we wanna know about it so we can get ourselves a copy.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some stuff in the works. I can't disclose it right now, but I was just offered one of the biggest expeditions of my life this past weekend.
Really?
Nice.
And it will be a historical marker. And we'll say it like that. And it does have to do with Kephart. And I'm not letting it out because at the moment nobody knows about it, and it's strictly between me and the Kephart family as of right now until we get a bunch of, we got a lot of homework to do and a lot of people to get on board with it. And we're working with the University of North Carolina right now to get behind it. And then we're going to be dealing with the National Park. But we've got an expedition, man. And when I come out with it, I'll have to break it to you guys and let you know what's going on with it.
That sounds exciting. Yeah, we definitely want to hear about that when you're allowed to. Definitely.
Well, it's gonna be a benchmark for me in my life. Hands down, I can say it'll be the most exciting thing that I've ever done. It'll be, I think, if I can go through with it, it'll be the most accomplished probably thing that I've ever done. And again, not that it matters. It's going to be in the name of Kephart. To me, is bringing something back to him that he started. Being able to see it through, see it accomplished, and it means a lot. And that I was asked to spearhead it was so humbling and just it's such an honor to be involved with it. I'm just very excited. I'm just teasing you guys about this whole thing. Like I'm just going to keep on and not give you the details about it.
You're so mean.
Yeah, well, we look forward to hearing about that once you can actually disclose some details.
Absolutely, and listen, when we do this again, man, I would like to, we can kind of start from the beginning. I can go through a lot of we got a lot of stuff we could cover, man. We could go through skills. We could go through prepping items. I actually have designed a bunker. I've got a bunker, and I'm open with it because it's like I did it to be able to basically show people how to. And maybe we can do a question, Q&A sometime. That'd be cool. Maybe we can somehow work with the audience.
Yeah, we definitely love to have you back on the podcast.
Absolutely, you guys are awesome, man. It's pretty cool. It's my time. It's like 20 minutes after 1.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna be getting up early. But you know what? What my buddy used to say: you can sleep when you're dead. So
I know
exactly.
I could honestly sit and talk with you all night, brother. You've I know we've only just barely scratched the surface of some of the stories you have to tell.
Well, it's fun, man. My brother's always said, he said, you can either wake up and dream, or you can get out of bed and live the dream. And I live a really simple lifestyle for the most part. and I feel like I'm living it, man. I honestly, it's like
sounds like it.
People are so caught up, man. They get so wrapped up in debt and all these things, and it's like, it's like, what is your ultimate goal in life? Or do you want to be paying someone else for the rest of your life? It's like, that's not for me. It's not for me.
Yep, it's becoming more and more clear every day.
And the times are coming upon us, and I honestly, whether you're whatever it is you believe in, whether it be the apocalypse, a tribulation, a race war, I've heard a million different ideologies.
It's zombies,
and it's like whatever zombies. Yeah. It's like whatever it is you're looking to see. Are you really truly ready? I know a lot of students show up and they still got the stickers on their equipment. They've never used it. They've never gotten it out, gotten it dirty. And I'll to say this. I teach risk versus reward. If the reward is great enough, take the risk. But also, if you hone your skills, you'll own your skills. And it's just like eating with a fork. I mean, you do it enough, you can do it with your eyes closed. And that's the place that I want to be, and that I feel, I am in a lot of situations. But I've got a long way to go, a lot big journey ahead to master so many other skills that are out there. I want to be able to, just do it without, as a second nature. That it's, that when something goes down, that's my reflex.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Well, I think it's about time to wrap this thing up.
All right.
This has been awesome, though. Thank you so much for being with us, and tell our listeners again where they can find you and where they can hook up with you if they want to get in on one of your classes.
Oh, you can go on Facebook and you can type in The Native Pathfinder. That's THE Native Pathfinder. Or you can go to 4 Winds Survival School on Facebook. Or you can look at my personal, which is Joshua Native Kirk. Also, I have a website, 4 Windsurvivalschool.com. And I have a free app that's out there. It's it's quick download. And that is called THE, The Native Pathfinder. So you can get in with any of that. Contact me, private message me. Check out my videos. Check out my stuff. I've got my own knife designs that are out there.
Oh, nice.
And we've got a lot of stuff that's going on and a lot more stuff that's coming out. So yeah, check us out on the website, on Facebook, on YouTube, and we're there to learn together.
Yeah, show me some of those knife designs. I want to see those.
Absolutely. If you can actually go to my website, you can actually see I was carrying one of them scout style. The other day I did a bear hunt. Monday evening I was on a bear hunt alone by myself in the North Georgia mountains.
Oh my God, how many people can say that? Yeah, I'm on a bear hunt by myself with a knife.
Just on Monday, it's fine.
With a knife I made.
Yeah.
Man, you make me sound way cooler than I am. I'm actually I'm 600 pounds living in my mom's basement, man.
You're a card carrying badass, Native. All right,
I'm
brother.
eating Cheetos right now, bro.
Thank you so much for being with us and telling us some of your stories, and we can't wait to have you back on and hear some more.
All right, man. I look forward to it. It was awesome. And Frenzy, you got to talk more next time. Just tell me to shut up.
You don't let us get a word in.
That's okay. I was just letting you take the floor, dude.
Yeah.
It's all good. Next time.
You start to talk, and we just settle in, and we just lean back, and we just we're mesmerized by your stories.
It's the organic energy drink.
Yeah, right.
It's all good.
All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys too. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Thank you for having me on, and look forward to the future for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank
Take
you,
care.
Native.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
Okay, that was our guest, Joshua Native Kirk. Likes to go by Native. Survival expert, survivalists, woodsman, and all-around badass.
Yeah, I was just going to say all-around nice, badass guy.
Yeah, that's a cool dude.
Yep.
I'm excited to have him on the podcast again.
Me too.
Because that dude has some stories.
Yep, I like that.
It was like listening to somebody narrate an awesome book that I was reading. You know,
like sitting around a campfire,
yeah,
listening to someone tell stories. I loved it.
Beautiful. So that was Native Kirk. You can check him out. He is the owner of the 4 Winds Survival School, and we'll look forward to following his adventures that he has to come.
Yeah, can't wait to hear more.
Also, go check out National Survival Center. They have all the survival gear that you need for when the shit hits the fan. When the zombies show up, you're going to need some machetes to cut their heads off. You're going to need some survival food because all the stores are going to be raided. And you're going to need, like, tents and you're going to need... What else are you going to need, Frenzy?
Some backpacks, a bug-out bag.
You got to have a bug-out bag, yep.
Probably some night vision goggles.
Some night vision goggles, yeah. You got to sneak around at night. And
gun cleaning kit to clean your gun.
Yeah, they're going to
Gotta keep that working properly.
Yeah, that's true. Got to have a clean gun.
Mm-hmm.
So check them out at www.nationalsurvivalcenter.com. They got free shipping on, like, everything except, I think, survival food.
Yeah.
And their prices are going to beat all the big box store prices. It's all the name brand shit that you can get at Cabela's or Gander Mountain, any of those big box stores.
Yeah. Plus, they have amazing customer service, which is always a bonus.
Yes, it's all hand-tested gear by the owners. They only put stuff on their website that they've tested themselves and that they believe is a quality product. And you're just going to get it cheaper there. So check them out. You can find them at www.nationalsurvivalcenter.com, or if you don't feel like typing that much, you can go to survivedon'tsuffer.com and get yourself some badass gear. Survive, don't suffer.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. All right, that is it for us. We are going to play a song out to end this episode by an awesome band called Cullah. 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 They got some good songs, so check them out. Later, fuckers.
Bye.
Who am I? Who was I? Who can I be tomorrow? On the road of life, a light shines down and paves the way for me. A ways to go, some ways to go. I can only be the man I'm supposed to be. But most of all, I'm the ghost of love. Ooh. I slowly fall right down to get back up again. Who am I? Who was I? Who can I be tomorrow? Oh, yeah. On the road of life, a light shines down and paves the way for me. A ways to go, some days to go. But I can only be the man I'm supposed to be. Just be. But most of all, I'm the ghost of love. I slowly fall down to get back up again. So say goodbye to aches and cries, and say hello to loving all your blues away. Yeah.